Hey everyone, Nick here with an Alien Covenant video with something that's kind of interesting. Now, after having seen the film a couple of times, I wanted to make this video regarding a few major questions, in my opinion, that were not answered in this film, and stuff that really kind of upset me a little bit going from Prometheus to this, really expecting a lot of this stuff to be answered in Covenant, or whatever the follow-up to Prometheus was eventually going to be, and it still was left kind of on the shelf. So it's entirely plausible that this stuff will be answered in the sequel, Alien Awakening, or in a future prequel film, or just not at all, but these were just 5 major questions that I felt were not answered in Alien Covenant. Major spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen Alien Covenant, go watch the film and then come back to this video. So this one was regarding the engineers and why they wanted to kill us, because I felt that was a big plot point of Prometheus in its third act once they woke up the last engineer and things went south, and also when David discovered that the engineers were actually leaving LV-223 to head to Earth to deploy the Black Goo. He said, sometimes to create, one must first destroy. They were heading to Earth, we do know that, but we just don't know why. Now it's been assumed by many that they were going to kill us or infect us with the Black Goo because it was just another part of their testing experiment, but again, it's one of those questions that I just felt was brushed over too suddenly and not really expanded upon, when that was actually the big kind of driving point for Shaw's character, especially at the end of the film, because that was the whole reason that she even left LV-223 to go to the engineer's homeworld of Paradise. She chose to go and find answers, and we still didn't get those answers. So the Black Goo was something that a lot of people had talked about in Prometheus, and of course we knew that it was going to be in Covenant, but this time around there are some new effects and features of the Black Goo. So first and foremost, it looks like it can operate in a bioaerosol fashion in this one, because when David does actually unleash all of the Black Goo onto the engineers in the flashback sequence, it sort of comes down in a spiral-like tornado and then just swarms over them like an angry hive of bees, which is very interesting to me, and it also calls back a lot of the ideas from John Spaihts' original draft of Prometheus, where the Black Goo was like this insect-like scarab swarm that sort of flew through the air and infected everything in sight. The interesting thing too is how the accelerant or pathogen or Black Goo actually interacted with the environment of Paradise, infecting the wildlife and thus creating the spores, which gave birth to the Xenomorphs. I thought that was a very interesting concept, and I actually did enjoy the exploration in that aspect, but we still don't know exactly what this pathogen does and how it affects certain living objects, because clearly the engineers were affected by it differently in Prometheus than in this film, where they were just sort of mummified and turned into these Pompeii-like corpses in Covenant. So Elisabeth Shaw's story comes to a tragic end in this film, where we see that David has been experimenting on her body and using her corpse to get different DNA samples or possibly vital organs to continue his crazy experiments in creating the Xenomorphs and the other alien creatures that we see in the film. Now, there begs the question, what exactly happened to Elisabeth Shaw, and why does David seem so hung up over it? Now, another possible theory, I had made a video about this but I didn't mention it, was that maybe Shaw actually died as sort of collateral damage, like David actually didn't try to kill her, but Shaw died, and thus he ended up just using her body because he had really nothing else to use, and that's why he's always so emotional when he's talking about her, saying that, he loved her more than any other human, and that she showed him such compassion, and that it was so tragic to see that she had died. But then again, why would he make up some phony story about her dying in the crash of the Juggernaut, only to later realize that he had done this crazy experiment on her? So again, there's a lot of questions, a lot of red flags regarding Shaw's ultimate fate. So something people had thought about after watching the prologue short film called The Crossing for Alien Covenant is, why exactly did David unleash all of the pathogen from that Juggernaut ship onto the Engineer City down below and just let things happen, let the pathogen infect and transform the landscape? Why did he do that? He did mention in that prologue that he had spent years in the journey between LV-223 and Paradise learning of the Engineer's ways, so that has something to definitely factor factor into it, but we just don't know what it was and why he ultimately decided to kill them all. Last but not least, the Xenomorph's origin story. Now, of course, you can obviously say that David is the creator of the Xenomorphs, which has been already confirmed by Ridley Scott. Now, the interesting thing is we don't actually know if he is the creator of the Xenomorph just in this film, like the protomorph, as you want to call it, or if he actually is the progenitor of all the Xenomorphs in all of the Alien films, and this is where the actual Xenomorph creature first starts in the timeline. That wasn't made entirely clear, along with his actual creation of the Xenomorph itself. Now, he did bring up the fact that he had used different bugs and different life samples, and that he had tried to perfect the perfect organism, but I don't think it's quite there yet, and a lot of the production team has said that it isn't quite at the big champ biomechanical stage yet, but they're edging towards that. So I have to imagine that the Xenomorph's origin and its biomechanical features will be a large plot point of the next film and the rest of the prequel series going forward, exploring how exactly we got to that Xenomorph. So leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. What questions were you asking after watching Alien Covenant, and what do you think of the questions that I raised in this video? Thanks for watching, my name is Nick, and for more on Alien Covenant and the Alien and Predator universe, stick with the Hybrid Network.